Shalom, I'm Angel. Welcome to Healthy in Heart. And I hope you are healthy in heart, mind, body, and soul today. So today I want to talk to you about what Kotobee finally drove me to learn, my EPUB survival story. So the day started with what should have been a straightforward task: create an EPUB version of Rise Healing from the Inside Out, import a document, click a few buttons, export, and done. I stayed loyal to Kotobee for a long time because I love its speed and simplicity. When it works, it feels almost invincible. That kind of ease matters when you are balancing writing, publishing, editing, marketing, website work, family, and everything else life keeps stacking on the counter. But that day, Kotobee refused to cooperate. And what followed became one of the more important lessons of my author life. So, what happens when a tool you trust stops talking to you? So the export just spun. There was no progress, no file, and no end in sight. I worked through the problem the way I usually work through problems, one variable at a time. I removed images, then replaced them. I checked alt text. Since I had already run into a version of this issue before, when large image files caused an export to hang indefinitely. I suspected hyperlinks next, since this project carried more of them than any book I built before. I removed the links. I removed entire pages that contained links. Kotobee kept spinning. The hardest part was not the failure itself, it was the silence beneath it. Kotobee never told me what was wrong. There was no error path, no line 742 contains an invalid attribute. No hint of whether the problem lived in the images, the formatting, the links, or the imported word code. It simply circled while my morning disappeared into it. So there's an intimidating tool that I had known about and used once to repair an error that my EPUB had thrown, but I had never built a EPUB in it before. And that tool is Sigil. But the frustration that I dealt with Kotobee on that day is what finally pushed me into Sigil. At first glance, Sigil looked like the harder path. Instead of a polished interface with friendly buttons, I was staring straight at code, and I don't know jack squat about code. But something shifted once I imported the web text file and ran a validation check. Sigil actually told me what was broken. The validation started at 2,081 errors. Now that number sounds overwhelming until you understand what is actually behind it. And I was overwhelmed when I first saw that number of errors. I was not facing 2,081 unique problems, though. I was facing a small handful of repeated issues that Word had quietly scattered across dozens of sections. And Word had inserted things like align equals center and clear equals all, old link equals and v-link equals attributes, outdated HTML divider styles, and image IDs with spaces in them like ID equals picture space 7. None of these mean anything to EPUB standards, and each one multiplied into several validation errors of its own. Working through them looked something like this: removing the invalid word link and v-link attributes, clearing out the old align styling, fixing empty title tags, correcting invalid image IDs, repairing broken divider formatting, and clearing out the leftover Word HTML junk, one issue at a time. It was slow, but it was honest work. Each fix had a visible cause and a visible effect. Ironically, the tool that looked harder actually became easier the moment I understood the pattern underneath it. Sigil was not punishing me, it was simply telling me the truth, which is more than Kotobee had done all morning. Once I stopped guessing and started fixing the root causes, the whole process turned from chaos into something closer to a checklist. But there was a lesson I did not want to learn. Sigil crashed. I had not saved since opening the file, so I lost everything. Metadata, chapter splitting, all the cleanup work gone in an instant. I had to start over from the beginning. That single moment may have taught me more than the entire 2081 error validation process combined. Crashes do not care how much effort you have already poured into something. They do not pause to acknowledge your progress before they take it. The only real defense is a habit, not a hope. And that habit is to save like a paranoid squirrel storing acorns. Not occasionally, not when you remember. After metadata, after importing, after fixing images, after chapter splits, after talk creation, after every single validation fix. Squirrels survive winter because they never trust that the food will still be there tomorrow. I am learning to treat my work the same way. So what that day actually taught me. There is a quieter truth sitting underneath all of this, one that applies far beyond ebook formatting. The tool that feels easiest is not always the one that serves you best when something goes wrong. Kotobee's simplicity was a gift right up until the moment that it wasn't, right up to the moment that it needed to explain itself. And then that same simplicity became a wall. Sigil's complexity looked like a burden trapped right up until the moment I needed it to tell me the truth. And then that complexity became a map. I think about this in more than one area of my life. The path that feels smooth is not always the path that's always working. Sometimes what looks like a harder road is simply the one honest enough to show you exactly where the break is so you can fix it instead of guessing at it forever. So I'm still building and still learning. And I don't share this to complain about software. I share it because building is something, whether it is a book, a business, or a life that is realigned toward wholeness. That it rarely looks like the clean, linear path process that it appears to be from the outside. It looks like spinning wheels, silent failures, unexpected crashes, and starting over more times than you expected to. And still the book gets made. The EPUB exports. The work continues. That has always been the truest picture of building something worth building. Save like a paranoid squirrel storing acorns. There is a reason that line stuck with me longer than any of the technical fixes did. Squirrels do not wait for winter to prove itself before they start burying acorns. They act as though the cold is already coming because eventually it always does. I think most of us live the opposite way. We save our marriages when they're already cracking. We tend our health after the diagnosis. We back up our work, our words, our relationships only after something has already been lost. But the squirrel is not paranoid. It is faithful to a pattern it cannot see the end of yet, storing away what matters before it is asked to prove why. Maybe that is the deeper lesson Kotobee never meant to teach me. Save your progress before the crash. Say the kind word before the silence gets long. Tend what you love before you need it to already be strong. Winter comes for all of it eventually. Book files and hearts alike. And the ones who are ready are simply the ones who never stop storing acorns. I hope this has been beneficial to you. Until next time, remember to stay healthy in heart.